Hey everyone, my name's Mackenzie. I am a avid fantasy romance reader, and I wanted to talk to you about one of the latest reads that I had. I'm definitely not starting this series with my most favorite book that I've ever read in my life. I am really starting this with the most recent that I read, which is a trilogy by Invi Wright. And first, let me just say that I am not normally into this type of romance book. And normally fantasy and romance together means that I love it. This one, not so much, in the sense that it is categorized as a reversed harem, which essentially, for those that don't know what that is, one woman to multiple men in the storyline. Now, I think the way that Invi Wright did this might attract people that are not normally into this type of romance novel. I think that she did it in a way that made it feel like not just the guys were falling, apparently I can't speak today, falling in love with her, they were also falling in love with each other, which felt different in this storyline, and I think what made it work was the setup of the story. So let me get into a little bit of background. So the female is based in basically a science fiction futuristic world where we can travel between planets, but also that women in all species are going extinct. There are fewer women born than men. So most families have a man or a boy for a child versus a girl. So girls are coveted. And because of this, they are so rare that they essentially, when they're born, they're taken into these camps to basically they're kind of like a prison until they turn of fertile age, in which case they are bought by either a pool of men or one man who would purchase you. Now, I think the way that she set this up made it feel a little bit less, oh my gosh, these women are property. But that's essentially what's happening. And throughout the book, you kind of, throughout the trilogy, they're trying to prevent this, and they're trying to repopulate like the woman race. But with this first book, she's purchased by three demons. Mostly for one, which is Gray. And Gray is kind of our main male character in the series, at least until the later books. He purchases Charlie, who's our main character, our female lead, and she's the one that the point of view is from. And so Charlie she's essentially spent her entire life only interacting with her parents. She's avoided these jail camps for many years, and she's by hiding in a crawl space filled with rats. It gave me the heebie-jeebies when I was reading it. But her parents loved each other so much and loved her so much that they spent their entire life in hiding. Or at least her entire life in hiding. So her parents would have people over, and she would spend all of this time in this crawl space with her, I don't know if I'd call them friends, but her rats that she hung out with. Kind of weird. Anyway, you get really into this story. Charlie had a way of really attracting or maybe making you care about her character. I think that she was really interesting in the sense that she didn't let any of this stop her. She wasn't afraid of these three demons, even though she's only met two other people in her life, which she's completely powerless. She should have been. Anyway, I think that if you are opposed in general to reverse harems, maybe give this one a try. It might be one of the only ones that you like. Now, if you are really into reverse harems, I think that maybe you would like this one as well. It's definitely going to be in your TBR. I think it was beautifully done. On a spicy level, definitely if you like the lower spice, this one of that 1 to 10, probably like a 25. It is definitely higher up there on the list, especially as you start getting into the second and third books. So, yes, I would recommend it. But maybe maybe consider if you have anything better on your TBR. This one is definitely like I would rate it probably out of 10. Like on the spicy level, if you want spice and that's all you're looking for, yes, 25. If you want plot and world building and characters that grow and you know, throughout the story and you know, that really you want that world building plot, character twists and things like that, maybe more on the scale of 6 out of 10 for that. But again, I finished it, all 3 books, in 24 hours, so that has to say something. So let's get into the actual spoilers. All right. So now I hope you've read these books. I hope you liked them as much as I did. There's obviously some things that I liked and disliked about the books. One of the things I really liked is, and I said this even before the spoilers, is that they all fall in love with each other. And I think that is crucial to the storyline. You see the relationships build between not just her, but the males as well. Even though they've been friends forever, they have this romantic love for each other, which was really interesting, and definitely not something that I normally read or am interested in. So I was surprised that I liked this, but I did, mostly because it was just so much different. The other piece of this is that Azil is kind of an asshole the entire book, but somehow ends up being the first one that she sleeps with. I mean, I understand Silas and Gray were super upset after the whole cheating scandal, but wow. I was really thrown off by that. I think at that cheating scandal was kind of where Invi Wright lost me as a reader. I almost put it down and was like, I hate this book because I just don't understand. She loved these men and now she's just gone and cheated on them. And for a few chapters, we didn't understand to what extent she cheated on them. Like if she had lost her virginity to the couple, or if it was just a, you know, I thought there was some confusion around that. And I think I was so surprised that I walked away from it and was like, I'm not sure that I can get into a book with this much cheating, with this much, you know, and that she could do that. But then I sat back and thought, okay, well, she was purchased by these men. Like these were not her chosen companions. And even these men don't seem to, I mean, Charlie's nothing special. She's a human that they purchased that happens to be pure. But beyond that, what is the appeal? Why do these men love her? Is it because she's purchased them? And even Azil suggests, you know, that they find someone else. And I understand they're attracted to her, but what was the other pieces to it? Was it just attraction? Because that could be anyone. So I think from that perspective, I tried to look into her eyes and say, okay, well, if I'd been purchased and these were the only people that I knew besides my parents, I've only ever met these other 3 people and now I'm supposed to love them, then I would want to maybe experiment. And I think that's kind of where Invi Wright was coming from, was like that this was, you know, this was a step in her progressing as a character. Did I love it? No. but it is something that happened throughout the book. She also lost me towards the end where Gray becomes the king of lust. And there is that he becomes more sexual for a lust demon. And I think that that's also where she kind of lost me. The whole story was that, you know, or at least Gray's storyline was that he was this lust demon that was different from the other ones, that he was, he cared about his partners. He wanted a more monogamous relationship, but towards the end of the book, that changed when he got his dad's power. So I think ultimately there were some plot holes. I mean, there were some things thrown in. I think the betrayal, I mean, it was just twists and turns throughout the entire storyline. But would I read it again? Probably not. Am I glad that I read it? Yes. Would I read another reverse harem story? No. But I'm glad that I did, because I think that this was a really interesting storyline, and she was in the way that Invi Wright did this, captured my attention. Would I read another reverse harem from her? Absolutely. But I'll continue along with my monogamous books, I think, after this one. So yes, I loved the female, her males, and their war. Do I think there could have been more plot? Absolutely. I wish the characters had a little bit more building, but ultimately it was a really strong story. It kept me hooked from beginning to end. I finished it fairly quickly. 3 books in less than 48 hours. It was light-hearted, it was funny, and I think I enjoyed the differences and the uniqueness of the story. So next, though, we are going to be talking about these two. Now, hopefully they don't fall on me when I put them down from my shelves. So first, we have The Primal of Blood and Bone. And yes, I have already read this book. Yes, I can speak to it. But I am just so surprised by the ending that I just need to digest it a little bit longer. And that's why I read The Female to begin with. It was directly after The Primal of Blood and Bone. And this one being my favorite series, I just needed to decompress and read something simple that didn't break my heart. And can we just talk about how beautiful this book was? It was the Target limited edition, and it is beautiful. So this is the next one that I'll talk about. I'm not looking forward to it because I love this book so much. I love this book series so much, and I don't know that I love JLA as much as I normally do after reading this book, but I knew I was going to feel this way after reading it. So we'll talk about this one next time. And then as well as we have Scarred. I saw this one as well when I was in the bookstore. It was just such a beautiful copy. And the back just caught my attention. I'd like to draw you just like this with your face kissing the stars. I think it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I mean, it seems like it's right up my alley. All right, so we'll talk about them next time, and thanks so much. Bye.